Welcome to Real Estate of Mind, a Farbman Group podcast. Welcome to another edition of Real Estate of Mind. I'm Andy Gutman, and I'm joined today by the partners at CTC Talent Partners, Jason Epstein and Adam Cosola. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me today. Obviously, Real Estate of Mind, we're out to talk about not only commercial real estate, which is what we live and breathe by, but also those in our community and in our circles that are doing amazing things and that have some value for our clients. And we found what you do incredibly valuable and a worthwhile topic that we think many people are going to enjoy listening to. So why don't we start off by just, maybe you guys can tell our listeners a little bit about CTC Talent Partners.
Sure, and thank you, Andy. And to give it that a little bit of context, kind of share my background, and then Adam can talk through his, and that kind of will give a little bit of context as to how we got here. Both of us have non-traditional backgrounds. During my last couple of years of undergrad, I was moonlighting between playing poker full-time out in Las Vegas, and we also started a referral marketing company in the online poker space, which we grew to 550 affiliates and 5,500 sub-affiliates.
Wow.
So after my poker days were over, I went to law school, practiced law for several years, and had constantly been contacted by recruiters who seemed to have the adage of fitting the square peg in the round hole as their business model. And I always thought to myself, if you brought a level of sophistication and integrity to the talent space and maybe incorporated aspects of human capital consulting to that arena, you could do some amazing things. And actually, Adam and I have grown up with one another. We've been friends for how long, Adam?
25 years now, if you can believe
That's
it.
amazing.
So,
that doesn't happen often.
no,
And you still work together and you get along.
And
That's right.
Yeah, we still hang out outside of work.
that's right.
That's really great.
Yeah, Adam has a similar non-traditional background as myself.
Yes, came from a family business, entrepreneurial type of background, grandfather, my father. And for the first part of my career, it was in sales in different capacities. And working for a lot of bigger companies, ran into a lot of challenges around company culture, organizations communicating with one another, transparency with the employees in the workforce. So thought, kind of like Jason, if there was a way to bring some sophistication and help companies kind of flip the script a little bit, they would be in a better position in terms of, adding talent and retaining people as well while building an intentional, inclusive culture. And about 4.5 years ago, I was at a crossroads in my career, and Jason was the expert among friends, the advisor in terms of talent and steering which company, where to go and where not to go. And we really obviously always hit it off and said, I think the people and talent acquisition space would be a good avenue for you to try. And I had actually started with a firm that Jason had opened with a couple of other partners remotely and focusing primarily on recruiting and talent acquisition. And about a year into that endeavor, 3.5 years ago, we realized we had a vision to really combine human capital advisory and talent acquisition into one model, which is something we didn't see in the marketplace. And as a result, we ended up breaking off and hanging our own shingle about 3.5 years ago. And it's been quite a wild ride there. So, and it's really our focus for that 3.5 years has been helping small and mid-sized businesses improve their bottom line by creating happy, focused, and highly productive workplaces.
That's fantastic. And something that's obviously very important nowadays with the tight talent pool that's out there. I'm sure we're going to dive further into that.
Absolutely.
Obviously in today's market, it's a very tight talent pool market. I know from Farbman's perspective, we're putting out ads, we're dealing with headhunters, we're always trying to find the right talent. We haven't quite figured out the best way, so I'm excited that you're here today so you can help us figure out how we can do a better job of it in a market where we talk to 100 people to find one, if we're lucky. And if we're lucky, we talk to 100 people. And so it's very tough out there from an employer standpoint. So maybe you can talk a little bit. We see it from only our perspective, but love to hear the challenges that your clients are commonly facing and encountering in your field.
Sure. Yeah, Andy, and funny you mentioned it. It is a much tighter market right now in terms of finding and more importantly, retaining top talent. Good news is unemployment's down to 3.7% nationally.
That's an incredible thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a 10% decline from a decade ago.
Yeah.
Challenge is it's harder to find good people as a result. And what we've seen, again, retention being the best form of talent acquisition. When there's unwanted attrition, the cost of replacing that employee can be anywhere from that person's salary to double that amount. So it's a substantial hit for companies to find out or go out to the market and try to find that type of talent. When sometimes it's already within your workforce, but it's not being developed properly, or to Adam's point earlier, there might be some lack of internal transparency and communication, which is specifically what our millennial workforce, which is going to comprise 75% of us by the year 2025, they want transparency. They want to know the impact of what they're doing today, even in a granular type of role, how that impacts the macro, right? And they want development. So if you're able to provide those three things to that segment of our workforce, the retention levels we found with millennials increase substantially. Companies are finally starting to shift and open their eyes to what millennials want, giving them a substantial competitive advantage over those that aren't. And that's really a big shift right now, what we're seeing in the market. So those that have been late to embrace the millennial workforce, they're experiencing those kind of challenges. And others have been able to really harness and develop that elite talent in their 20s and early 30s right now.
You know, it's amazing you say that, because when I talk to a lot of leaders in organizations, there's still this common belief that with millennials, it's all about putting in a foosball table. That's really all they need. And there's so much more complex than that. You can never totally categorize an individual into such a big bucket, but there's so much more to understanding millennials than simply providing food in the kitchen and a foosball or a ping pong table to hang out, correct?
Exactly, yeah.
That's right.
But so many people spend their time trying to categorize them all and say it's just that simplicity.
Right, it's not necessarily frills we're looking for, it's information and a belief in what they're doing for the greater good.
Yeah, that's a great thing to hone in on, because I do believe too many people are lost in how to handle the millennial workforce, or now very close to Generation Z, which is coming in next.
That's right.
So thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
So knowing the challenges in the workforce today, obviously you guys are experts in that, and that's an important part of what people are looking for. What can you do to help your clients or to help any company with dealing with the current workforce?
Sure, Andy. It really starts off by having a discovery period or type of conversation. And this is where we'll meet with executives and key employees at an organization. And we want to understand some really, obviously their challenges, but we also want to define and understand their mission and purpose, really why they exist, their vision, where are they going as an organization, values, who they are and what they stand for. What does that feel look like in terms of workplace culture when you step into the office and walk through the halls? What is employee performance and engagement? Is this an engaged workforce? Is there low engagement? Are people hanging their heads? Are they frustrated? The organizational structure, are the right people in the right seats in order to be successful? And also the competencies that the highest performing team members in that company possess and those skill sets. And in any of those areas, Andy, if we diagnose misalignment across the areas, that serves as our baseline moving forward as we begin to collaboratively address those challenges. And for the clients whose needs are just focused primarily on recruiting and adding talent, what CTC will do is we'll create an individual employee profile for new hires, and that's going to contain required skills and competencies, manager or leader input on what training and onboarding will look like for that new hire coming in, what that path to success looks like, and why their company would be an attractive place to work for prospective new hires. If I'm an employee at another organization, why would I take a call to learn more about that company?
That's great. You hit on a couple of key points there, and it's so much more in-depth than oftentimes the, hey, send us your job description so we can find some resumes for you. I love the idea that you do a deep dive into the organizations you serve, so that you better understand their culture, and you probably help figure out why they're having challenges with either recruiting or retention to begin with, just through that analysis, I would think.
Yeah, and that's sort of where that marriage between the talent advisory, consulting, and recruiting really kind of harmonizes. And it allows us not only to take, traditionally recruiters will take a job description and go to market, where we're looking at a job description and determining if it needs to be rewritten, and if so, how. And the impact on doing it by investing those upfront resources and time, our average fill rate went from over 90 days in a traditional recruiting setting to 38 days in our current model.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, retention's increased from 85 to over 90%. Company production has increased across each company we've worked with that we've placed new talent with over the last 18 months. And companies enjoy it, more importantly. A lot of times folks look at recruiting and interviewing, and it's the last thing on their list that they want to do. We try to make it a positive experience, both for the candidate and for the hiring manager. We endorse a very transparent and open process with constant communication between all parties. And frankly, even those candidates who don't wind up working for our clients, they have fantastic things to say about their experience, which is extremely important.
And extremely rare. So when
That's
you go
true.
through a process and don't get hired, it's not often you come back on, wow, I really enjoyed the process.
Yeah.
But
That's right.
that's great if you can make that a good process for everybody.
Absolutely.
And people do forget that even when you don't hire someone, that person now has an experience with your company, and whether it's positive or negative, they take that with them wherever they go.
They're a brand
That's right.
ambassador. You just want to make sure that the message is positive.
That is truly lost out there in kind of the ether. People don't necessarily remember that every touch point you have with individuals really becomes their impression of your organization in total. And your focus on that is truly unique. And you got to be pretty proud of bringing that to the table.
Yeah, and I think that candidates appreciate that level of candor throughout the process. A lot of times they'll work with companies and have one or two interviews and then never hear from the company again.
Yeah.
And that's just something in our model, it doesn't work.
How important is that? Because you do hear that from time to time. Like we make it a habit here, whether you're hired or you're not, we reach back out and say thank you. And that's part of the Farbman way. It's part of our, corporate culture. It's a corporate culture of gratitude. But how often do companies just kind of like, well, we don't owe them a response. They should be proud.
It's not always an easy conversation to have, and many people brush it under the rug, and they don't realize at the time the impact.
Yeah.
And it's incredibly important to be able to deliver that message the right way.
Well, Andy, this is about relationships too. So a lot of the times, if a person ends up moving forward with a company, a lot of it has to do with not only the cultural alignment, but timing. Is it right for them and their families? There's a lot of factors, and if people do it right, and real estate, it's about relationships. If you plant that seed with that person, it may not be a fit today, but maybe in 2 or 3 months things change on their end. They have a good experience. They might be a fit for that organization at that time. So you never want to burn a bridge. You never want to, you want to leave that door open and have that opportunity and platform to be able to do that and revisit it.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. So what have been some of the keys that you have to growing your business?
Well, Andy, in a few words, relationships, transparency, trust, and results. We've been fortunate to build a strong network of professionals here in Michigan and have had the opportunity to help so many people and organizations, which is why Jason and I are here. 3.5 years later, the vast majority of our clients come via introductions and referrals from people in our networks and current and former clients. And the partnerships with our clients are very collaborative. Everybody's engaged, they're self-aware, and they're dedicated to continuously improving and getting better. And we've had the opportunity as well to really be industry agnostic because our relationships and networks are taking us different places. We've actually worked in 13 industries over the past 18 months.
Wow.
So it's been pretty exciting to work in different, from a diversification standpoint, working across so many different industries. And we've worked with companies that are starting up, where we've helped them place and onboard and integrate their first 2 hires all the way up to companies that have 400 employees. So
Great.
It's the small to middle market there. And really, our clients really rely on us to show them how to build a talent roadmap and a process for building and maintaining an intentional, inclusive culture. So they rely on us to show them how to do it, and for us to stay involved and really implement that on an ongoing basis to ensure the company is set up to be successful moving forward, and everybody's involved and bought into the process.
That's great. Wonderful. So let me take a second to talk about how our clients can get a hold of you. If they want to get in touch and utilize your services, besides you leaving us your contact info for our Farbman hires, which we definitely need to do, how can they get a hold of you?
Thanks, Andy. Well, we are actually located in the fantastic Bingham Office Center.
One of my favorites.
One of fantastic Farbman property on 13 and Telegraph in Bingham Farms, a 30600 building. Our website is ctcsolutions.net. Phone number is 248-410-6808. Email is info@ctcsolutions.net. And you can find CTC Talent Partners on LinkedIn, as well as Adam Cosola and Jason Epstein. We're both on LinkedIn as well, have personal pages. And really, if a company is looking to evaluate their culture, examine their process around attracting, hiring, or retaining key people, give us a call. We can help.
That's great. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to sit with me today to talk about your organization. It sounds like you've had some years of great success so far. We wish you continued success. And on behalf of the Farbman Group and Real Estate of Mind, we wish you a wonderful day.
Thank you, Andy.
Thank you, Andy.
Join us next time for another wonderful edition of Real Estate of Mind, a Farbman Group podcast.